And it's Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio. Today we're going to cover Army cross country. And we have a chance to talk with the head coach of Army cross country and track and field, and that is Mike Smith, a graduate of Bucknell. Coach, how are you today? You got a big event next week.
Yeah, I'm doing well. We've got beautiful weather. We're hoping it holds for the meet. We got a week to go, so looking forward to getting those schools out here and getting on the plane.
Well, it's something, first time you're going to have the Naval Academy and the Air Force Academy for, I guess you would call it a tri-meet, and you're going to do it right on the plane, which is one of the most historic places in America. How is that? Tell us about how is it going to work?
So the idea for this was generated in the summer, and really the pandemic has given us this opportunity because Patriot League canceled most of the fall sports. So we really were left with a pretty empty calendar, and we had to fill it in. And we've never really had an opportunity to compete against Air Force. A number of reasons for that, including resources and calendar, and it's just hard to get all three schools together. So when the calendar opened up, the idea was generated, and I talked to both coaches at both schools, and there was a soft agreement to try and do this. And the other thing I wanted to do was put it around Veterans Day. If it were going to be the three service academies, I thought if we're going to honor veterans on that day, we might as well include some kids that are committed to service. And I thought that was an important part of it. And then I really wanted to bring cross country to the fore. And one way to do that is to put it somewhere where you can see every step of the race. And many people, in my opinion, probably have never seen a cross country race. And now it'll be right there in their front yard. And because it's on the plane, there's an added significance to it, given the history of the plane and the hallowed ground that it is. So all of those things combined really make this, in my eyes, a pretty special opportunity. And really, it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Well, one of the things that you have for the event is national television on ESPN Plus, and that's going to provide a lot of visibility to cross country and to cross country at the service academies.
For sure, and that's what we were hoping would happen. I just don't know how many people are interested in something like this, but I thought if we put it into the best possible position to be watched, that we could increase viewership, interest, and showcase the academy. And all those things will happen. They're going to pass by the statues. They're going to pass by the buildings. The course itself is some outer loops, which is about a half mile around the plane. And then we come through the middle, and I call that the serpentines. So we'll serpentine through the middle, and the cameras will catch it all, and anyone watching at any particular vantage point is going to see everything. And the compelling drama that can happen in a race like this is going to be significant. And the other element is this may be the only sport, I haven't exhausted all the sports that exist, but this may be the only sport where in 20 or 25 minutes you can have a commander-in-chief trophy decided right there right in front of you.
Now tell us, now that will be unique to be on the plane. I've seen a few cross-country races, frequently on golf courses, or occasionally I've seen them at horse racing tracks. Actually, occasionally some events. What surface will the runners be running on?
So the plane is all grass, so every step will be on grass. We cross the diagonal walk a few times in those loops. So we'll try and put a mat of some kind down. But other than that, it's entirely grass, and I've heard it's the second most expensive lawn in the country. So it's expensive grass.
Well, that's certainly true. Tell us about some of the runners on your team. So you're going to have a women's competition and a men's competition. Is that correct?
That's correct. The women at 2:30 on Wednesday afternoon, the men at 3:30. And in the women's race, our captain in cross country is Mika Andrews from Dobbs Ferry, New York. She's a firstie, which means she's in her fourth year. She's a senior. and she's been in our top 5 ever since she was a freshman, or we call them plebes. So look for her to be out there, one of our leaders. And on the men's side, we have 2 guys that are going to be up there, call them our leaders, Daniel Mazey, and he's our team captain from Oklahoma, and Marshall Beatty, a kid out of Montana who's a junior. And actually, we'll be led on the women's side very likely by 2 freshmen, 2 plebes that have been leading us all year, both from New England, one from New Hampshire and Georgia Jones, and one from Maine, Helen Shearer. So those would be the names that probably would be up front for us. And those kids have performed consistently all year pretty well.
How does the scoring work in this? I understand it's a number of runners, and you take the best 5 or 6 scores. Tell us how it's going to work in the scoring for the competition.
So 7 will count. So 7 will count toward the scoring, but only 5 make up your score. The other 2 can displace other runners. So if you finish 7th for the Army team and you're ahead of the 5th runner for the Navy team, then that pushes that runner back. But if you're 8th on the Army team, then you don't impact it at all. So we have more runners running than can count, but we did that to give more kids an experience of the event.
And how is training for cross country at the academy? Obviously, you've got military duties, you've got training periods where the cadets probably cannot train for running, which is an everyday thing. I've done a tad bit of running in my life, and you got to do it every day or 5, 6 days a week maybe. How do you balance the military training, the rigor of the academy, and the needs to train for cross country?
Well, it's a delicate balance. It's a challenge for sure. I would say that the coach is the one having to do the balancing. The kids don't really have a choice. They're going to do everything that they're supposed to do, and we have to try and figure out how to make everything work out so that they can be successful. So we have to manage the amount of work that they do, and we have to manage the intensity of it. They're challenged all the time. They're challenged in school. They take more credit hours than you would at most institutions, and they probably get less sleep than you would at most institutions, because you can control what time you go to bed here, but you can't control what time you get up on most days, and that's a challenge for them. But I would just add, everything adds up to these kids are conditioned to overcome and to manage adversity. So every time you add another layer of adversity for them, they just check it off as another thing they got to do. And we really don't worry about it. We manage it, but we don't worry about it. So we're able to train 6 or 7 days a week. The kids are able to run what they're supposed to run, and the administration has made it possible for us to get better at it by improving our facilities in our areas where we can train. So we're able to get the work in, and if we do a good job of managing it, their workload as coaches, then they can get better. And I think it's really on the coaches more so than on the kids. I have kids yesterday that were in the combatives class. They did 3 fights yesterday. So they did 3 hand-to-hand combat fights, 3-minute rounds for each fight, and then they come to practice. So that's just typical. And they don't come to practice and say, "Coach, I can't train." They come to practice and say, "Coach, this is what I did," and then we adjust if we have to adjust. But that's just one of the challenges, whether it's a survival swimming class, a boxing class, or a fighting class, or a lack of sleep, or having to get up early and do duties that you have to do. That's just part of the deal here, and we all understand that, and we don't try to make excuses for it. We just try to manage it.
Well, it's a lot. We hear the same factors from Coach Munkin, trying to make sure his players get enough sleep during training and before games, and it's quite a balancing act. The cadets at West Point are asked to do so much and achieve so much. Coach, tell us a little bit about your background. I understand you mentioned you went to Bucknell. Tell us a little bit about your career in running and coaching.
So, went to Bucknell University, graduated from there in 1988, then went to graduate school at the State University of New York at Albany. Was a teacher for a short period of time in Zimbabwe. which is in Africa, Southern Africa.
Sure.
Got back from that and didn't know really what I was going to do, and decided that I wanted to get into college coaching, but I knew that I'd have to go back to grad school. So I did another graduate degree, and I chose to go to Kansas State University, and I spent 20 years there. I started as a graduate assistant, and 20 years later, I was, well, during that time, I became the head cross-country coach. And then at the end of that 20 years, the opportunity here popped up, and here I am. I grew up in Connecticut, so the geography was right. And if I were going to go anywhere from K-State, it was going to be to a place like this, where I thought, and when this became an opportunity, I thought to myself, this is one that's worth pursuing for a number of reasons, on a number of levels. I felt like the opportunity to work with the caliber of kid that you get to work with here far reaches way beyond just coaching, and the impact you can have on young men and women here is so significant that I felt like this was a real purposeful endeavor, and I wanted to take on that challenge when it became available. So that brought me here, and the challenges were numerous, and we figured out how to adapt to most of them, not all, but it's basically about adapting. But as a runner, I was on the cross-country team at Bucknell, and I kept running, and wasn't sure that that's the direction I wanted to go as far as coaching, but I just kind of fell into it, and really pursued it at K-State, and had a great mentor there in Cliff Rivelto, the head coach there, and that's led me to where I am today. And it's a great opportunity to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to stay here and continue to do what we do.
Well, Coach, Mike Smith, head coach of Army cross country, track and field, big day on Veterans Day next week, November 11th, America's Race. You're going to have the cross country meet between the three service academies, starting with the women's competition at 2:30 and the men's competition at 3:30. All right on the historic parade grounds of Parade, the Plain at West Point. It's going to be a great day. What's your anticipation about the day? It's certainly going to be very exciting to host this meet.
Yeah, very excited. I know the kids are very excited. We just want to showcase the academy and our programs, and if we can get great competitive efforts, it's really hard to say how kids are going to perform there, but I think they'll be pretty motivated. So it's like a Super Bowl home meet, if you will. So they'll be motivated. They're really looking forward to being out there, and we're looking forward to showcasing not just our program, but the institution and everything that goes with it. So just a chance to expose us and the institution to as many people as want to that can tune in. We're in a pandemic, so I think we'd get a lot more fans if it weren't for that. But maybe we'll get a lot more fans online because of it. Who knows? But really a showcase and to honor service. I think that's an important part of this. We're bringing more attention to Veterans Day by doing this on Veterans Day, and I think that's an important element.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to that and promote it within our organization, the American Legion, the world's largest veterans organization. Again, Mike Smith, the head coach of Army cross country and track and field. We'll look forward to America's Race at West Point, November 11th, Veterans Day. It should be a great day and an opportunity for the fans to watch cross country on ESPN Plus. Thank you for a few minutes this morning. Great to meet you.
Thank you as well. Have a good day.
Our pleasure. This is Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio, covering Army cross country. Have a great day, everybody.